Hey everybody, Jason Bermas here, and it's time to talk about the Mar-a-Lago Trump raid. Now, I'm going to be going to your questions and comments in the live chat, but there's a few things that I think that we should discuss first. Number one, there is no doubt in my mind that this is in fact a fishing expedition to try to find anything to bring criminal charges on Donald Trump. And whether or not they are successful in prosecuting him, I think that a open criminal trial prior to the 2024 elections will more than likely disqualify Trump. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there with a red wave of hopium that somehow the midterm elections are going to save us. I'm not a Republican, and I'm not in imagination land. I'm in a place called reality. And the reality is, whether you like Trump or not, it has been very, very apparent that even post-presidency, they want to make sure that Trump cannot run and cannot win in 2024. Just look at the New York fishing expedition that we've covered vigorously here. Again, not saying Trump is a great guy, but do you think if they could have found one iota of criminal behavior by Trump himself in that investigation, they wouldn't have brought criminal charges? Do you think that the January 6th show trial and fiasco, if they could find one smidgen of actual criminal evidence against Trump, they wouldn't have already charged him? And some of the early headlines out there, the Daily Mail was probably the most prominent one that put it out there, said that it happened hours after the FBI received Alex Jones's phone conversations. Now, let's take a look at that lie really quickly. They told us, and when I say they, the lawyers in that gotcha moment in the Shady Hook trial with Alex Jones said that they had 12 years of phone records from Jones. Not true. Never true. I've seen moron commentators in my feeds talking about what's in the text messages. Believe me, folks, let's start again. They had every single one of Trump's text messages, Roger Stone's text messages, Steve Bannon's text messages, and of course, Alex Jones's text messages, just based in the programs that were post-Norris Insight systems. You need to watch Invisible Empire and understand that all communications, even prior to 9/11, prior to Edward Snowden blowing the whistle on surveillance of American citizens, they had it all. They were taking it all. Look into Carnivore, look into Promise, but especially Norris Insight systems, because what they would do is they had a room in which a server directly siphoned off all communications going through telecom companies like AT&T and others into the National Security Agency. Now, here's the problem. Even though you kind of have that stuff, right, you can't use it in a court of law because you're not supposed to have it. Now, I don't believe that any of the material that they have will be used in a court of law, but instead the court of public opinion. And that's what that was really about. The excuse to give it over to the FBI to make it sound like, oh my goodness, there's new information about January 6th. We got them. We got them. Okay, there's that. And B, now to leak tawdry messages that Jones may have had with Roger Stone and others. The naked wife thing and the bikini thing, that's already making it into the mainstream media. None of it criminal. None of it criminal. Now, I'm going to be at the Reawaken America tour in Batavia, New York, talking about the true origins of the military-industrial complex, the deep state, and the modus operandi of true compartmentalization that was utilized and then really accepted as the model via the Manhattan Project. And we live in a cartoon clown show that whether or not you hate Trump, the judge who signed off on this, I mean, you cannot make this stuff up. The judge who signed off on this is a lawyer for several of the Epstein cohorts, including the quote-unquote Yugoslavian sex slave that was reportedly sold to Epstein at 12 years old. Wow. And the pilots. Now, I want to make it extremely clear. Yeah, okay, he donated $2,000 to Barack Obama. Yeah, he has a political viewpoint. But don't think for a minute that Merrick Garland, Christopher Wray, and everybody at the top that's actually making decisions didn't sign off on this as well. Of course they did. Of course they did. And that's why I told you from the beginning of all of these narratives that were put out that, remember, the QAnon sense narrative was secretly Robert Mueller was working for Trump and he was going to get to the bottom of it and take everybody down. And then the Durham investigation, right? That was going to take people down. None of it happened. None of it was real. Okay? All of it was limited hangout garbage and disinformation. I could have told you Robert Mueller, and I did tell you, Robert Mueller wasn't your friend when you saw what he did on 9/11, covering up how the money moved and who was truly involved. Look into Robert Wright, Barry Carmody, and others. Look into his buddy, Robert Mueller's buddy, okay, who would become the head of Homeland Security, Michael Chertoff, who said he wasn't interested in quote-unquote conspiracy theories about 9/11. Yeah, those nasty conspiracy theories that what? That were given to him by members of the FBI who were doing investigations and then punished for speaking out and made to be pencil, paper pushers. All right? Meanwhile, again, love Trump or hate him, we are living in a cartoon where a puppet zombie with dementia has been installed and he can't remember 10 seconds ago. All right? The video's going viral now. We're not even going to play it, but he shakes Chuck Schumer's hand and then he totally forgets. And, you know, I've done watch-alongs. I don't know if I can stomach an 18-minute watch-along. Here it is right here. Okay, there. Look at him just standing there. He can't do anything. He struggles through this speech, again, reading through prompters. He's constantly wearing these sunglasses because his eyes are glazed over. He can't speak. But what I will play you is the fact the man can't even put his jacket on. Take a look. He can't even put on a jacket. Let's fast forward a little bit because he's going to get one arm in. Look at that. One. Good for you, Joe. You got one arm in. Try to get that second arm in. And he's outside with a mask on. Outside with a mask on. 2.5 years later. This is the leader of the free world? I can't get it. Get it for me, Jill. I can't get it. He can't barely move his arms. He falls upstairs. He can barely speak. And the mainstream Mockingbird media continues to promote that Joe Biden is somehow in charge. It is insane. He is making zero decisions. And let's just go through our corrupt justice system and the fact that, you know, Biden isn't the only one who is constantly protected. I want to bring it back to 9/11 again. You know, there's a lot of talk about Eric Holder not being held to account by the FBI. That's legitimate, fast and furious. The Benghazi situation, and of course the Hillary Clinton emails. All totally and completely covered up by the FBI on purpose. You should have known that. If you've been doing your homework, you can go to other instances like the Franklin scandal itself, where the FBI actively made the victims into the criminals. But just take Sandy Berger, for instance, okay? I will give Sean Hannity credit last night for bringing up Sandy Berger. Sandy Berger was caught putting classified documents regarding 9/11 into his pants and trying to leave with them, and was never prosecuted, ever. These people are criminals. The FBI and their records with people like John Lennon, Martin Luther King Jr., you think this is an organization that has your best interests at heart? It's not the cover-up crew? No, that's exactly what it is. And make no mistake about it. Again, love him or hate him, this is a fishing expedition to, again, put it into the public arena that somehow Donald Trump is the greatest criminal mastermind the United States has ever known, and we need him to be arrested, charged, and go to jail. And even if they're not successful in that, they don't want him running. It's insane. And I'm not on the Trump bandwagon. I know there's a lot of people out there saying this is all just an illusion and it just reinforces the two-party system. There are levels to this game, okay? I'm just going to say that. And Trump is not all-knowing, but you can damn well be sure they don't like it when they ask him about Saudi Arabian involvement in 9/11, and there is some monetary involvement in these quote-unquote terror networks, but the real involvement is the fact that bin Laden himself was part of that 1980s Mujahideen ISI CIA network that was moving money through the BCCI banking system, as well as Iran-Contra, and we never talked about it. And he gets up there and he says, we still don't know who did 9/11. We still haven't gotten to the bottom of 9/11, and we should have by now. You think they like that? You think they like it when Trump says there's truly a military-industrial complex and they're challenging him when he's trying to get out of Syria, Afghanistan, and Iraq? Again, far from perfect. Did some really disturbing and disgusting things. Cut the deal with Saudi Arabia for $400+ billion that led to many of the tragedies that are going on in Yemen right now. The Soleimani decision, abhorrent, disgusting, disturbing. But when I see headlines like this, okay, a padlocked Mar-a-Lago basement full of documents, one flustered counterintelligence chief, and 15 missing boxes of top secret files inside DOJ's 11-month wild goose chase to track down Trump's missing White House files. This is the next level. Am I wrong about that? No, I don't believe that I am wrong about that. If you'd like to tell me that I'm wrong about that, you can do so in the chat. We're going to go to your questions and comments in a moment. I'd like to invite you to at least make a free Rockfin account where all of my uncensored material lives. And if you want to support the broadcast, $9.99 a month or $99.99 for the year. Locks it in. You do it on a desktop. You make sure to endorse Jason Bermas, and then you get everybody else's content. And believe me, this is a hot topic over there as well. I'd also like to remind people that everything I do is free, including what I believe are some of the most powerful documentary films out there. Loose Change Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, A New World Order to Find, and Shade the Motion Picture. If you're still under the weird illusion that somehow the FBI is your friend. That's Johnny Nonsense. It ain't your friend. Justin Cole, I want to thank you, sir, for the tip over at Rockfin. He says, thank you, Jason, for all the time you invest in the truth. I appreciate that. Because, look, I'm not perfect. I'm going to get things wrong. But at the end of the day, I am going to do my best to tell the truth and tell it like I see it. I've already openly stated, I mean, I said this to Clay Clark on our first interview together, that I'd rather not see Donald Trump run for the presidency. By the way, his daughter, Laura Trump, said that he was just days away from announcing that he would be running in 2024. And I want to remind people, despite that, and despite Clay and I not seeing eye to eye on every little thing and every piece of subject matter. He has been good enough to invite me to speak at his events. I was able to give what I thought was a pretty compact and concise presentation on the deep state, space warfare, transhumanism, and Elon Musk. And I will be going even further this weekend. So props to Clay Clark. You know, that guy's a genuine guy. He believes what he's putting out there. And I do want to say that if you want to see all this stuff, but I am also putting it over on Podbean if you like the RSS feeds. Okay, let's get to the questions and comments about the Mar-a-Lago raid and action. All right, HRC is fundraising, selling hats that say, "but her emails." Is that true? If that's true, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. We live in a cartoon. And I know a lot of people go with Clown World and all that other stuff. I've been talking about the cartoon for well over a decade. Well over a decade. Just like I coined the term predator class a decade plus ago. I've also been going with the term technopoly and not technocracy a very long time ago. FBI has been corrupt forever, not surprised. Correct. UK locked in. Well, thank you for joining us. This affects all of us globally. Is the F3D allowed to take entire boxes of documents like that? They're going to do what they want. They're going to take what they want. That's the point. If you can ban a sitting president from social media, if you can ban them from questioning an election, you can do it all. And really, that should have eviscerated the illusion that the President of the United States is really the commander-in-chief. No, we have an executive within an executive. We've had things that were, quote-unquote, born classified since the post-World War II era. We took a Nazi model, and a bunch of Nazis post-World War II via Operation Paperclip, when as of 2013, when Annie Jacobson put her book out about it, now almost a decade ago, there were still 600 million classified documents on that program alone. Think about that. Over 500 million documents. 500 million documents. And you better believe a lot of those are FBI documents, a lot of those military documents regarding Nazi involvement in our government and the creation of agencies like NASA and the Central Intelligence Agency. Jan Blackman says, I think Trump played them. Look, they've got their headlines now, and you're going to see leaks. For instance, I saw some headlines out there talking about, is there a mole inside the Trump? Listen, mole. There's a bunch of losers. There's a bunch of social climbers. A bunch of these people don't care what side of the fence they're on. They just want to be powerful. They just want to be famous. They just want money. Okay? It's disturbing, but it's reality. You know, you meet some of these people that are inside even the alternative media or inside of politics. They're egomaniacs. All right? They really, truly think they're better than other people. And I don't think I'm better than anybody. I think that I'm genuine, okay? And I think that I'm flawed. But I know in my heart of hearts that you put me up against some of these mainstreamers in an open forum and debate on just about every single subject matter, and I'm going to eviscerate them. I'm going to take them down to Chinatown. You better believe it. Is that my friend John Fletcher in Atlanta? I don't know what that means. I'm glad you are not fooled by Republicans. I mean, it's ridiculous. Look, we need a system in this country, again, of one person, one vote and accountability. I've been talking about these voting machines well before the Dominion scandals and back in the days of Diebold. All the way back in 2004, Bev Harris, black box voting. Greg Palast used to do great work. I was disturbed disturbed that Greg Palast wrote a book, How Trump Stole the 2020 Election. And when he was pressed prior to the election on actual chance of fraud, he just dismissed it. Greg, you should be ashamed of your damn self. You should be ashamed of your damn self. My God, what happened? I used to think you were about truth and justice. You couldn't be more partisan. How did you become a hack, man? And not Gene Hackman. A lot of people love Gene Hackman. Great character actor. Trump is a terrible person, but he was an amazing president. I wouldn't go with amazing. I would say that the bar was so damn low in my generation for what a president should be and how they should speak that, his moments of honesty and brilliance were elevated to the fact that, I've said it before, as much as I don't like Trump, I can't name a better president in my lifetime. Maybe not as a human being, because I truly believe also Jimmy Carter, although he had the wrong people inside and, has said some pretty ridiculous things about the Russians stealing the election in 2016, is a good person, has tried to be a good person. You got to remember, Jimmy Carter, even post-presidency, heavily worked with the poor. He actually wrote a book out there, and there was a documentary, very hard to find, Peace, Not Apartheid, talking about the Palestinian and Israeli conflict. So as a human being, perhaps Jimmy Carter was a better president, but it's not even close. It's not even close. Like Reagan, not so great, guys. Not so great. I mean, Reagan thought he was going to be the president. Then he got shot. Then he got shot by John Hinckley, who's walking around right now. Okay, watch my film Invisible Empire if you want the skinny on that. And it was basically the George H.W. Bush regime, into the George H.W. Bush regime. And I believe that man is a verifiable demon. Like as close to a human demon as you could possibly be. That's George H.W. Bush. Trump's got to be better than him. Okay, then you get into Clinton. And sure, while Clinton was there and the economy was booming and the late 90s, gas, I believe, was like 99 cents a gallon in New York at one point. I was living the dream. Everybody was telling me, we were going to be famous. When I say famous, I was working in computer graphics, right? We were going to work for all these companies and make so much money, and the economy was going up, up, up. And I remember talking to people, and healthcare was going to be cheaper. We were going to live longer, and everything was going to be a gravy train with biscuit wheels after Clinton. And the biggest deal about Clinton that I knew of his corruption was, some illicit blowjob from an intern that I couldn't have given two flying flickelschnicks about. But then you find out, oh, wait a minute. He's heavily involved with Jeffrey Epstein and the Clinton Initiative. Whoa. Whoa. He and the Bushes are like peanut butter and jelly, and they're opening up libraries together. Whoa. Whoa. A lot of the drugs from Iran-Contra were moving through Mena, Arkansas, and it has been alleged that Clinton was the bagman. Whoa. Whoa. And then there's Barack Hussein Obama. Obviously, we don't even have to talk about George W. Bush, and another puppet that, he could speak better than Biden, but they acted like he was the boy idiot. Well, the boy idiot had people like Cheney, Rumsfeld, and Wolfowitz behind him. No idiots there. I promise you that. That's the administration that covered up the international intelligence operation known as 9/11 and helped it along the way and began the war on terror. Terrible. Barry Soetoro, a.k.a. Barack Obama, literally somebody they picked out and trained for the position. Smart guy, very well spoken, very good at handling media. Terrible president. So yeah, I still think that Trump was in fact the best president of my lifetime. Changed my mind. By the way, we don't even have 100 thumbs up over on YouTube. Can we get those thumbs up, guys? We got 300 plus watching. Let's continue to go down the line. 88, so it's not surprising a big event occurred involving him yesterday. Listen, we don't do the numerology or the mysticism here unless we're reporting on it in a factual manner. All right? There's no hokum here. There's no magic. We deal in facts. It's a big deal. John Kriako, ayo. That's not to say that there isn't symbology, that some of these people at the top aren't into the occult, that they don't work, quote unquote, black or occultic magic into some of these operations. But unless we can prove it, we don't talk about it. I'll tell you this, we did that video on the supposed Google whistleblower and the AI. And right out of the gates, I said, this is totally bullshit. You program AI, they're trying to humanize it. They're getting you ready for transhumanism. And lo and behold, the poor little whistleblower that's now been fired by Google is an occultist, is a student of Crowleyism, among others. I go to my Twitter. I should play it now, but I'd rather just go through your questions and comments. I think that we may have another Tipsky and Hutch over here, and we always thank Jake Miracle. Thank you so much for that, Tipsky and Hutch. Without you guys, I wouldn't be able to do this. Consider buying me a coffee down below, $5, $10, $15. It means the world to me, guys. Let's see. Fishing and perennial planting season in D.C. Doesn't the effing government protect all of Trump's property? So they need to raid something they all protect? What a joke. I mean, the government is a broad word, right? That we have the government, we have the continuity of government, we have black operations, we now have signature reduction, which aren't even government agencies. It's the extension of Homeland Security, black ops, fusion centers, and the technopoly. If you don't know about signature reduction, signature reduction, signature reduction, signature reduction, we're gonna be highlighting that at the Reawaken America Tour in my speech. You are the man, Bermas. My wife and I love your work. Thank you, Cody. Tell everyone we know that they need to do themselves a favor and see what truth really looks and sounds like. Keep doing your thing, brother. Well, I'm going to keep doing my thing. And look, I just realized yesterday that I did that AMA on Deadman Switch, and for some reason it cut off on Rockfin like 20 minutes early. I re-uploaded that. I'm on the road, guys. I'm using road gear. I'm using less reliable internet, but I'm still trying to make it as professional as possible. I know people are looking at me and saying, geez, you look a little rugged in there, man. Well, I got bags under my eyes sometimes. And the lighting isn't the best in here the same way. And the camera's not the best in here. I'm a 43-year-old man. I count my lucky stars that I feel and look as good as I do. There's a lot of grays on this side and this side, guys. And people ask me, do I dye my hair? No, this is just gel in there. You can kind of see some of the grays moving around now. But when there's nothing in my hair, it's gray city, because we all get one shot at the title. Time moves forward, forward, forward. So I'm going to just keep pushing through. I believe in good and evil, and I want to do as much good as I possibly can on this earth. It's actually embarrassing that they're trying to turn January 6th into a 9/11 type event. I couldn't agree more. I'm hoping Jones appeals, it will be overturned. I don't know. I know there are some people that are making that statement that somehow the verdict is going to be overturned. I do think that in reality, obviously 50 million is not viable, but these guys are going for the throat. They're going for the throat. They want to change the laws. There are caps in Texas of 1.5 million, but as we've seen, we live in an unreality, okay, where we have a show trial involving Ghislaine Maxwell, where the vast majority of her crimes are not even discussed. They openly put into evidence pictures of massive amounts of evidence they never entered. Let me repeat that for you, okay? Binders full of information, hard drives, burned discs, photographs that were in safes. None of that was presented into evidence. Instead, pictures of them where there were massive redactions were put into evidence. We have a justice system that allowed the most high profile prisoner of all time, Jeffrey Epstein, to not commit suicide not once, but twice. Wow. Huh. Let's see. And a nice pick from Alex. Mega Witchcraft told you that. I don't know what that means. They're going after any anti-establishment next. Anyone against the government and their criminal alphabet agencies. Someone's saying it was staged. I'm not sure what we're talking about here is staged. Thundercats. Ho! Little Thundercats action. I like that. I'm a big fan of the Thundercats show. I haven't watched it in years. But how about some Mumrar? Staged event just like 9/11. Enjoy. When are we finally going to say enough is enough and put a stop to all this? Great question. I'm not exactly sure how we put a stop to all this because I don't believe that just voting our way out of it is even possible. You know how hard it is to be on a Democratic or Republican ticket? I mean, you have to pretty much bend the knee to the establishment. I'm not bending any knees. Hot. Amdocs is another organization we should be looking at. Yes, Amdocs and Converse were these telecommunication companies where vast amounts of information were going through. And actually, Amdocs and Converse are heavily mentioned in Fabled Enemies, where we go into the international intelligence operation that was 9/11. The Pakistani involvement, the Saudi Arabian involvement, the Israeli involvement, and the continuity of government involvement via war games, warnings, and the cover-up. This just invigorated Trump followers. I totally agree. Listen, even Andrew Yang, who I'm not a fan of, acknowledges that very, very fact, says this is dangerous and it only makes it look like Trump was correct when he was saying that there's an evil, corrupt government out to get him. It only personifies that. And Andrew Capo Cuomo said relatively the same thing, and they're trending on Twitter. I think that we all know that I'm no fan of Andrew Capo Cuomo, okay? A guy that had to step down because of some grab-ass accusations when he should have been tried criminally for his actions during COVID-19 '84 and the nursing home scandals. Bare minimum, among other things. Among the other lies they put out there. Give me a break. Only the defendant can waive client-lawyer privilege, not the lawyer. Well, I hate Trump, but if he gets the job again and doesn't dismantle the FBI and CIA, that should show his true colors. Well, again, he failed on so many things. He didn't what? He didn't stop the prosecution of Julian Assange. Forget about just not pardoning him at the end of the day, not pardoning Edward Snowden. He let his Justice Department, Bill Barr and the gang, go after him. He signed off on the Counterintelligence Defense 2020 to 2022 Act. We've read it here many times. It's Bad News Brown. It equated all of us that question things, okay, as bad actors and possible Al-Qaeda, ISIS terrorists because we were ideologically motivated individuals. Yeah, I'm an ideologically motivated individual. My ideology is humanity and truth and accountability. And if you want to put me into some kind of a box politically, it ain't about left and right. It's about that perfectly imperfect document, the Constitution of the United States. Because it was far from perfect, but it gave you the steps and the actual processes by which it could be changed in a manner to grow with society because they know they didn't get it all right. And we've eviscerated that as well with all these executive actions, orders, and agencies. This whole event is to get people to think we can shoot our way out of a spiritual war. Our job is to lead people to God. God will lead us out of this mess. Well, I appreciate your perspective on that, Carooster. Again, I'm no preacher. I don't really subscribe to major religions, but I do believe in good and evil. And I believe those that are completely and totally godless, okay, have huge blind spots. Those that cannot acknowledge that there is a force or a power greater than all of us, that wants to see humanity thrive, I think you're missing some of the big picture out there. Trump clearly doesn't live on the surface of a rotating rock ball. What? Okay, goodbye. I think you gotta love the trolls, the people that just interject into nonsense. Yes, Jason, keep doing your thing. Thank you. Illuminati judge. He was already in office, and the FBI still there, just like you're still in NATO, and every other effing thing he lied about is Hillary in jail. Yeah, no, he should have put Hillary Clinton in jail. Again, he failed on that. Lock her up. Lock her up. Love the WikiLeaks. Can't get enough of the WikiLeaks. Have you seen the WikiLeaks? Ran on that too. Again, we talk about the real failures here. By the way, can we get those thumbs up to 200? We got 357 people watching. Not even 200 thumbs up. I wonder if they are going to do this and try to stoke a civil war. They've sure been hyping it up in the media, haven't they? They'd love that. After all, it's the U.S. citizens and quote-unquote white supremacists that are the greatest threat to democracy and this nation. And I warned people back in the day, that's what the Patriot Act was really for, okay? That's what Homeland Security was really for. Homeland Security needs to be disbanded immediately. All the fusion centers gone. Signature reduction program over. The FBI needs to be gutted. The CIA needs to be gutted. And criminals need to be charged with their crimes against humanity. That's what needs to happen. Period. Amen. And it looks like we're in buffer town all of a sudden. So we'll only probably go through a few more of these, and we're going to make it a rather short one. Okay. One more. Anywhere, my Bermas boys, I don't know what that is. And again, this is because I'm on the road, guys. It drives me nuts when things like that happen. LOL, trust the plan. Oh yeah, Q and nonsense. Listen, I don't trust any plans. I want to make that extremely clear. Extremely clear. No plans to be trusted here. So bizarre. Now I'm okay on this one. Yeah, guys, it's tough sauce on the road. That's all I can say. So, once again, I want to thank you guys. You want to support this broadcast, you can do so with the links down below. Consider buying me a coffee. $5, $10, $15. It absolutely means the world to me. And it looks like it's so weird. Why is it that one of them is so much longer than the other? I don't know, but I guess we're going to find out. Guys, once again, thank you. I love you. And we'll see you on the flip side.